It was supposed to be the happiest night of her life. A wedding filled with music, dancing, laughter, and the promise of forever. But by the next morning, the bride was dead, stabbed multiple times. And the groom, the man who had vowed to love her forever, had disappeared. This is the haunting story of Arnoldo Jimenez, the man whose wedding night ended in murder and who has remained a fugitive ever since. Early life of Arnoldo Jimenez. Arnoldo Jimenez was born in Durango, Mexico, in the early 1980s. His family moved to the United States when he was young, joining the large Mexican-American community in Chicago, Illinois. Chicago was a city of opportunities, but also dangers. Immigrant families like the Jimenez family worked hard, chasing the American dream, but Chicago's neighborhoods were also known for crime, gangs, and violence. Growing up in this environment shaped Arnoldo's character. Friends described him as an ordinary young man, not especially remarkable in school or sports. He enjoyed parties, cars, and socializing, but there was one detail people never forgot: his temper. Arnoldo had a short fuse. If things didn't go his way, he could snap. As he grew older, Arnoldo lived what looked like a normal life on the outside. He had friends, went out often, and enjoyed the fast lifestyle. But underneath, he carried anger and control issues that made relationships with him unstable and eventually deadly. Estrella Carrera, the bride. While Arnoldo was building his life, Estrella Carrera was building hers. She was 26 years old, vibrant, and full of life. Estrella was known as a loving mother to her 2 children and a woman who enjoyed dancing, socializing, and celebrating life. Her friends described her as caring, fun, and independent. She worked hard, but also loved to enjoy herself. She had dreams of building a happy future for her family. When Estrella met Arnoldo, there was instant chemistry. Their relationship started with passion, but also with problems. They argued often. Arnoldo's jealousy and controlling nature clashed with Estrella's independent personality. Friends warned her that the relationship was rocky. At times, Estrella herself admitted the arguments were too much, but like many couples in toxic love, they kept coming back together. By 2012, Arnoldo asked Estrella to marry him. Despite the red flags, she said yes. The wedding, May 5, 2012. The wedding was arranged quickly. On Saturday, May 5, 2012, family and friends gathered in Chicago to celebrate. For Estrella, it was a magical night. Instead of a white gown, she chose a shiny silver dress, bold and stylish. The atmosphere was festive. Guests danced, music played, drinks flowed, and everyone celebrated. To most, it seemed like a happy occasion. But some noticed tension. A few guests later said they saw Arnoldo and Estrella arguing quietly during the party. At times, Estrella's smile would fade when Arnoldo leaned in. Still, no one imagined the nightmare that was about to unfold. Late that night, after the party ended, Arnoldo and Estrella left together in his black Maserati. It was the last time anyone saw her alive. The murder. According to investigators, sometime during that night, an argument exploded inside the car. Arnoldo's anger boiled over. In a fit of rage, he pulled out a knife and stabbed Estrella repeatedly. The attack was brutal. Estrella, still wearing her silver wedding dress, fought for her life but could not survive. Arnoldo then drove her back to her apartment. The next day, when Estrella didn't show up to pick up her children, her family grew worried. They went to her apartment and made a horrifying discovery. Estrella's body was in the bathtub, still wearing the silver wedding dress, covered in stab wounds. The wedding had become a funeral overnight. The investigation. Police quickly identified Arnoldo Jimenez as the prime suspect. He had vanished after the murder. Phone records showed Arnoldo contacting his brother. Investigators believe his brother helped him escape. Arnoldo's Maserati was later found abandoned near the Mexican border. It didn't take long for detectives to piece the puzzle together. Arnoldo had likely fled the country, crossing into Mexico to hide among relatives or with criminal connections. Despite efforts, Arnoldo managed to disappear without a trace. The escape and fugitive life. For years, Arnoldo remained on the run. Investigators chased leads across states and into Mexico. Rumors surfaced, sightings in Durango, Puebla, and other cities in Mexico. Some believed he lived quietly, blending into the community, protected by family. Others speculated he may have received help from organized crime networks. But the truth was, nobody could find him. Year after year, Estrella's family waited for justice. Her children grew up without their mother. Meanwhile, Arnoldo lived as a fugitive, always looking over his shoulder. FBI's 10 Most Wanted list. In 2019, 7 years after the murder, the FBI made a big move. They added Arnoldo Jimenez to the 10 Most Wanted Fugitives list, a list reserved for the most dangerous and hardest to capture criminals in the world. The FBI described him as armed and dangerous. They released his photos, physical descriptions, and details of the crime. They also announced a $100,000 reward for any information leading to his arrest. His name now stood alongside terrorists, cartel leaders, and violent criminals. He was no longer just a runaway groom. He was one of the most wanted men in America. Impact on families. For Estrella's family, the pain never went away. She left behind 2 children who would grow up without their mother. For them, every Mother's Day was a reminder of the tragedy. Every birthday, every family event carried the shadow of her absence. Her friends described her as a beautiful soul taken too soon, someone who deserved happiness, but instead met violence at the hands of the man she married. As for Arnoldo's family, some relatives claimed they were shocked. Others were suspected of helping him escape. The case tore through 2 families, leaving one grieving and the other living with the shame of a fugitive son. Where is Arnoldo Jimenez today? More than a decade later, Arnoldo Jimenez has still not been captured. The FBI believes he is hiding in Mexico, possibly in Durango or Puebla, protected by relatives or criminal allies. His fugitive status makes him constantly alert, never fully safe, always living with the fear of being recognized. Some theories suggest he may have changed his identity, working low-profile jobs and blending into communities. Others believe he might even be dead, buried in some remote area, his secret taken with him. But until proven otherwise, the FBI continues to hunt him. The story of Arnoldo Jimenez is a story of love turned to hate, of a wedding turned into a murder scene, and of a man who went from groom to fugitive in less than 24 hours. For Estrella Carrera, the silver dress that symbolized joy became her burial gown. For her children, the man who should have been a stepfather became their mother's killer. And for Arnoldo Jimenez, his wedding night sealed his fate as one of the most wanted fugitives in America.